Are you having trouble doing the things that you know that you need to do to achieve the highest levels of health? You've read the books, you know what you should be eating, but that motivation just isn't always there. What do you do? Stay tuned. Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Professor Spira. Practice something called the Mucusless Diet Healing System by Professor Arnold Ehret. I've done so for over 20 years and have had the privilege of helping thousands of people transform their lives for the better, using those basic principles that helped me transform my life, that helped me lose 100 pounds and overcome numerous ailments that I'd been taking pharmaceutical drugs for since I was a child. No more. That is true freedom, and that is what I want to try to impart to you today. But maybe you don't have the motivation that you need. What has to happen to get to the level where it is a no-brainer, where you no longer even think about the process of doing the things that you need to do to attain the highest level of health possible to achieve your goals? What do you need? You need a shift in consciousness and a shift in attitude. So much of practicing the Mucusless Diet Healing System is having the right attitude. And not a soft attitude, not a little like, oh, I'm going to try to get healthy, yay. No, that ain't gonna cut it over here. Because learning how to control what you put into your body is the most revolutionary thing that you can do, and you are going to get resistance on all fronts. You get resistance from the significant others, from your friends, or what sometimes becomes your former friends. You get resistance from society at large, because everywhere you go, here's the foods that you're not supposed to be eating. And it is embraced. They embrace the worst things that we could be put in our body. It's embraced. It's made to be the cool thing to do. Yet you have to stand against it. How do you do that? How can you develop this unshakable attitude? You have to really get to know yourself. You have to be able to look in that mirror. You have to be able to look internally, contemplate, and be really honest with yourself. And I know that's honestly, it's like, I know you've heard this kind of thing before from other people in the self-help type of spaces, but that becomes very real on this path in particular. When you're talking about the Mucusless Diet Healing System path, that becomes incredibly real. But you have to find ways to keep your mind and keep your vibration in that mode. Now, one of the recommendations that Brother Air makes is to continually read the Mucusless Diet book. And if you don't have that book yet, I urge you to get it. Mucusless Diet Healing System by Professor Arnold Ehret. We have an annotated, revised, and edited edition that you can find links for all that down below. And while you're down there, if you haven't subscribed to our Insiders Club and newsletter, please do that, and you will get 3 free PDFs that will also help you get on the path, get you in that state, in that frequency. There's a headspace that once you unlock it, once you get in there, then it's on. It doesn't like turn off and on. It's like boom, once you lock it in. But to get in there, you have to do some work. And one of the things in terms of attitude, you know, they like at times folks talk about mentors and the people that you hang out with or the content that you choose to consume. And the people that I found to be most successful are the ones that are able to get into that mindset, whether they're watching a lot of content. Now I got people that tell me they watch my videos like all day, or they fall asleep watching my videos and it helps them stay in to that zone. So that's an option. Or just reading the book every day, listening to the audio book every day, going through the e-course lessons, the Mucusless Diet Healing System e-course lessons every day, whatever it is, but staying on that frequency. But then also just in terms of attitude. So when I wanted to develop a more hardcore attitude, I was go and be around the more hardcore type of people. And once I met Brother Air, that was like as hardcore as it got in terms of, you know, being around some like hardcore guys that had a particular mentality that wasn't soft. You know, it's old school. You know, it's coming out of the 70s, you know, and that type of vibe. You know, I grew up in the 90s, and so there is a certain kind of hardness and mindset that I noticed that has weakened every decade, and now it is very weak, unfortunately, on a mainstream level. I'm not really seeing the kind of, you know, this kind of hardcore attitude that I'm talking about, where there is no compromise. There's no compromise. We're not gonna sit down and have a discussion about, oh, this, like, no, there's no compromise. You do you, we can agree to disagree, and that's it. You do you, I'm gonna do me, and that's it. But that was the attitude that I would go if I would have to, you know, go someplace where there would be food there. And maybe I was still craving that food, but I had to have a hardcore attitude that was like, nope, you know what? I'm all in. I'm all in on this information and this practice, for better or for worse. In order to really get the benefits and to see what it can do, you have to be all in. You can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. 1 foot in, what do they say, 1 foot in the coffin and 1 foot on a banana peel. You know, you got to either get in, you know, or just go play in the sandbox, go back to the keto thing. Well, don't do that. I'm just kidding. But I never recommend any of that mess. But that's the thing, man. There's a shift in attitude. What attitude are you bringing to the table? There's people, you know, and I'll say it for this, let's focus on attitude, because a lot of people focus on consciousness and just get in that zone and the spot and the thing and the that, and then that's great, and everybody needs to be doing the breath work and your contemplation, and that's it. But it's the attitude of people that I'm noticing is so lacking. And people, there's a whole lot of wishy-washy kind of attitudes, and flaky. That's the word, flaky. This is like the flaky happy slave era. The flaky happy slaves, you know, people just really enjoying their slavery, enjoying being compliant. And I comply, I love you, master. And, you know, and it's like, that's literally the attitude. You could like turn on YouTube, or I turn on some of these things I'm seeing, like, man, people got these attitudes that are just like straight up happy slaves. Just the happy slave attitude. Like, oh, it's, I love you, you love me, you know. It doesn't matter, we're in slavery, because it's just all about consciousness. I mean, it's that type of thing. And I'm like, man, no, it's got to be about attitude. And in this era, the attitude doesn't have to be, I don't think it shouldn't be soft. Because even the people that folks look at as some of these gurus with all this, like, oh, they're so spiritual, and there's just this love gospels and all this kind of stuff. I mean, they actually have, like, when you listen to them from a certain perspective, a lot of them have a real hardcore type of thing. Like, they have a pretty hardcore center into whatever it is they're into, more hardcore than you, or more hardcore than the followers. You know, like somebody like Eckhart Tolle, like, he's hardcore, you know, but I don't see people that look into him come out of, you know, they don't take that from him. They don't take and inspired by the hardcore elements. you know, they just kind of watch it like it's entertainment, you know, and they'll take the soft elements like, oh, you know, it's like, but go out on the, you know, I don't see stories of people like, okay, I watched that cartoon and that inspired me to go out in the woods for a month and or go and sleep on a park bench or to sell all my belongings. And like, that's an attitude. That's going hard. Like, I'm all in. I sold all of my stuff. I'm sleeping on a park bench and I'm gonna achieve samadhi. You know, I'm gonna achieve higher states of consciousness. That's being all in, and that's an attitude. I don't see that. And I'm saying with the Mucusless Diet Healing System, that's what you need. You gotta have that attitude. Like, there's no compromise. There's nobody that could come and give me millions of dollars and then be like, look, we'll give you these millions of dollars. All you gotta do is eat this pus. Eat some pus. Here's a pus burger. Just all you gotta do is eat that, and then we'll give you $1 million. Sorry, not sorry. That's not even a discussion. Get out my face. You know what I mean? Like that. You know, so that's an attitude. That's what you need if you want to be successful with this Mucusless Diet Healing System. Then you got to find that inner strength. You got to find that inner thing. And that doesn't mean when you attitude like mean, you know, mean to people or something. I'm super gracious, nice to everybody and that kind of stuff. It's an internal vibration. And people feel it if they cross the line, you know, where it's like, I'm the most peaceful person that you're gonna meet on the street unless you cross the line, and then we have problems, you know. And don't think that because I'm not eating all your dead animal flesh, you know, I'm kind of, you know what I mean? Like, you know, hey. But that's an attitude. I'm sharing that with you because I'm giving you a glimpse into, since it's something that we need to talk about, because you're either all in or it's not gonna happen. You guys just messing around, shucking and jiving, one foot in, one foot out. Be all in. Stay hard. Which means, what does that mean in the terms of the Mucusless Diet Healing System? You're reading the book all the time. You're immersing yourself into that information. That's all I did, was I just immersed myself into that information. Once I realized how brilliant it was, how important it was of a text, then I just was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna just get into this all the way. I'm gonna just get all the way into this. And before you know it, you study with that real deeply while you're practicing, you start to develop a certain mastery level. And that's something that is totally missing today, is the art of mastery, because people they're splintered in so many different directions, watching this and this guru, and well, this guy said this, and this guru says that you should don't eat apples, and well, that guy said you know, to eat apples every day but don't eat bananas, and then that guy said, well, that's a hybrid thing, don't eat this. And it's like playing those kind of games. You're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere doing that. Like, it's you gotta just, if you're going to do the Mucusless Diet Healing System, like focusing on that, just that like laser beam, like boom. Because what I try to demonstrate with my book Spira Speaks is to show you how to take that Mucusless Diet Healing System book and then get deeper into it, instead of more like, well, I read Eric, let me read this, and Bernard Jensen, and let me get everybody. And it's like, there's a place and a time for that, but let's look at the stuff that's inside the Mucusless Diet book. What about the books that Eric mentioned? Like, read those books. You know, that was one of the first things I did. I went and got those books. And related books, books that were related to the Mucusless Diet, so I was getting deeper and deeper in. And there's literally only a few people that, off the top of my head, that I know of that's really doing that, of like younger practitioners, you know, folks that identify themselves as Mucusless Diet Healing System practitioners, and they're not only doing this work on the physical, but also the mental, the spiritual, the academic, scholastic studies of the Mucusless diet that you get when you seek this out, and this consciousness, this information. So you gotta be all in. You got to be all in and cultivate your character. What does that mean? Cultivate your character. See, there's a reason why we like to get lost in a lot of these dramas, and when there's what's a good character? What makes a good character? Well, usually a great character, almost every time, one of the main ingredients of a good character is some type of adversity. And it is the response of the character to that adversity that makes you interested, that makes you attracted to, like, man, that's an interesting character. Be an interesting character, become one. Because so many people, it's just like they're just sort of living a life that's based on a script that somebody else wrote. And that's no way to live. Write your own script, write your own movie. Become the type of character you'd like to watch. You know, don't sit and just be like, oh, I'm, you know, feeling sorry for yourself and going through all that kind of stuff. You know, see, and there's a huge difference between, some people think when they're hard on themselves it's like they're helping. It's like, I'm tough. This is how I'm tough. I cuss myself out at night. Like, man, that's not it. That ain't it. You want to be loving and gentle with yourself, and at the same time, you're cultivating this like hard, sort of like what, you know, kind of thing inside. That's that, like, you know, that David Goggins. It's like if David Goggins practiced a Mucusless diet type of attitude. That's, you know.
Listen to what kind of bitch you're being. Stay hard.
I mean, if you want to be successful, you know, but the thing with that is you had to rein in the extremism. So that's what I notice is hard. Sometimes people that start off really well and they're really gung-ho and they're all like, yeah, you know, they feel like they're all in, and maybe they are all in for a period of time, but it's not sustainable because they don't apply themselves to the transition diet and the methodology enough. They go all in on it from an extremist type of mindset where they feel like going all in is eating nothing but fruit. I'm all in, I'm eating nothing but fruit. I'm gonna be 100% raw for the rest of my life. I'm never gonna eat another dead animal flesh and this and that, you know, and I'm never eating no rice ever again. And, you know, it's like they put all of these demands on themselves that have nothing to do with transitional methodology found in the Mucusless Diet Healing System book. So that is the nuance where you commit to the hardcore. And so I'm most hardcore with the social dynamics. That's where, for me, that's where you can bring that like let's go, you know, type of attitude, you know, where you out here and you dealing with people, and, you know, who care, people looking at you funny, you know, or people don't like to be, for me, that's a challenge that I think that we all should take as Mucusless Diet, because that's like a rites of passage. Just, you know, walking through some type of, finding yourself in like a cafeteria or a restaurant or something that you definitely don't want to be at, but for some reason you're there, and you walking through and people just looking at you like you crazy because you holding a bag of lettuce or something. Like, that's just a rites of passage. That's part of that character building. That's a character building moment. You know, that's the part of that adversity that's good, in my opinion. That's gonna separate those that's serious about this path from those that's just trying to be entertained, you know. And so, but at the same time, you always want to be loving with yourself. You know, just because you're hardcore in terms of like a social dynamic doesn't mean that like now you got to be like beating yourself up and that kind of stuff. The main thing is just follow the system. You know, are you doing your enemas, your lemon juice and distilled water enemas? Are you doing your best to avoid the pus, mucus forming foods? Are you eating enough mucus? You know, I mean, that's the thing. Like, people, are you eating enough transitional mucuses so that in 2 months you don't have a relapse where you lose control and then you eat worse mucuses than you would have eaten that if you'd have just been like, well, let me eat some now. That's the system. That's practicing the system. You know, getting your 24-hour fast in, you know, once a month or whatever you're doing, once a week, once every 2 months, once every 3 months, 72-hour fast. Ready if and when, I should just say when you get cold and flu-like symptoms, when your body gives you the opportunity to eliminate at the highest levels, are you ready for that? Are you ready to drop everything and fast and, as I call it, shut it down? Those are attitudes. You know, I was at college when I started practicing the Mucusless Diet Healing System. One, I used to do lemon juice and distilled water enemas in a public bathroom. Now, it did lock, but every time I went in there, somebody was outside knocking, trying to come in, and I'd be in there for, you know, 20, 30 minutes, just like, I'm in here, you know, and just laying, you know, I'd take my little thing and lay down on the ground. And now that took a little attitude. That developed some character, because there was some adversity there. I didn't have my own bathroom situation, and I was gonna make it work. And I actually found 2 different bathrooms that, like one like hidden, like I was like searching for places like, you know, hidden things, like stuff downstairs no one goes down. It was like it was a utility bathroom or something that was like downstairs. And but that all came from an attitude and me being all in. Like there's no discussion, no compromise. You know, when I would go to the cafeterias, I had this big duffel bag and I just filled it with fruit. All the fruit, no one else was eating it. And I'd take it upstairs, and I had this big mountain of fruit in the corner of the room, and I juiced every day. It was my first time ever having a juicing habit, where I was having fresh juice every day. Once I started doing fresh juice every day, I was totally hooked. So that's attitude. You know, that's the kind of, how do you deal with adversity? Not, oh man, you know, I'm living with my parents, and you know, because that thing is always the future, like I'm gonna do it later. Like, well, right now it's kind of hard, and you know, I'm living, doing this, or this is my circumstance, or my wife, or my baby, or my children, or but in a few months, it's gonna be fine, and it's like, nah, today, right now, you make that commitment this moment. Right now, you make that commitment. There is no putting it off. There is no next, in a couple months, or I got some money coming in, or this or that, or I got to finish this job or whatever. You make the commitment right now, and you do whatever you can do right now. Do whatever you can do, and let the transition begin. So I hope you found this interesting and kind of enlightening. I try to give you a little glimpse into the attitude. Might talk about this a little bit more because it's so important. Having the right attitude, and as I look out there, I don't see a whole lot of people that really talk about that or make videos about that, where and a lot of the attitudes that I see are a little bit more, I'm definitely not gonna call no one out, but I see some fake attitudes, and I see some, very safe, like I'm, not, they have absolutely no threat of being shut down by YouTube or having any strikes like I just got a couple months ago. So, and that's fine, and there can be some interesting information there, but in terms of a plug-in, is that giving you what you need in terms of the cultivation of your character to be able to deal with the obstacles that are coming? So thank you so much. One more time, if you haven't subscribed, go down below, click that link, subscribe to the Mucus-free Life Insiders Club. I got some great things coming up and I want you to be a part of it. Plug in. We have a free weekly meetup. Then people be like, oh, I didn't know about it. I didn't hear about it. Plug in. It's all here. Plug in. Plug into the community. And become a leader. You know, like, you know, and there's ways, there's the right ways to do that and the wrong ways. I ain't even gonna talk about that, but I'm gonna throw that out there that we're looking for people to work with. You know, we're looking for people that's serious, that want to plug in, that see the vision, that see, and you know what happens when you like work with us on that level? Well, you learn a lot, one, but and sometimes a little attitude might rub off, but three, there's a plug-in, the art of the plug-in. And it's nothing new. That's how it's been for generations and all kinds of different, like what do you want to learn? You go try to hang out with those. You trying to be a musician and you find you the best musicians to be around. You know, you want to be a whatever it is, you know, you go and hang with that crew. And so, you know, we have some things that we're trying to do that is, you know, over the next 10 years, take stuff to a whole different level. And so, and we're looking for the people right now that's going to be a part of that core team, you know, because it's, you know, it's going to be easy. Like people are going to be throwing themselves at us in some years once stuff starts popping off, because people love to deal with things once it's already built. But when it's in the process of being built, you know, it's not as, you know, there's oftentimes not as many people, you know, trying to, you know, falling over themselves to get there. And so we're in that stage. We're in that stage where the people that tune in now, that jump on now, are gonna be the ones that will be able to be in positions of influence, you know, in what we're trying to do. And so, and for us, it's all great, you know, because it's all about uplifting. It's all about trying to take things to the next level, you know, on all different levels. So if you're interested in that, all I'm saying with that, just plug in, just take a look, plug into the social medias and participate, you know, comment. It's like you start there with commenting on the social media posts, by sharing them on your posts. It's like we notice those things, and really appreciate that, you know, and that really helps. That's because that's what we need, you know, in terms of the community, to get the community to grow and thrive. And when we're at the embryo stages, we're at the beginning stages, but we got some great things in store. So thank you so much. And before you go, I want you to take a look right here. I want you to click right here. This is another great video that has been specifically selected for you. So click this, and I will see you over there. Peace, love, and breath.